We now bring to you our keynote address on creating, cultivating, and inspiring, reviewing the best examples of DEI initiatives and workplace culture. We will also talk a lot more about how at this level of success, what does a D&I professional and organization do differently? It is such a pleasure as I extend a very warm welcome to Ms. Vineeta Singh, Chief Executive Officer, Sugar Cosmetics, and a Shark Tank India judge. Vineeta did her electrical engineering from IIT Madras and MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. Of course, her brand, Sugar Cosmetics, the beauty company, boasts of over 3,500 points of distribution network across 120 cities in India. She has priorly been the co-founding member of Fab Bag, is amongst one of the top 100 mindful women in the world. Let's listen in and learn from her.
My name is Vineeta. I am the co-founder and CEO of Sugar Cosmetics, and I'm very excited to be a part of the Economic Times Diversity and Inclusion Virtual Summit. I want to share a couple of points on this from my perspective, especially about since we're talking about leadership and diversity here. So firstly, I'm very, very proud, and this is one of the things that I talk about a lot, that Sugar has more than 2,000 women. More than 70% of our workforce is actually women. And while there is, of course, a big advantage of us being in the beauty category, which overall has more women, I do feel that a large reason for this is also that within the organization, we have enough role models. And while at the national level, we've seen that the participation of women in workforce has gone down over the last 2 years to less than 25%. In organizations like Sugar, it continues to grow because there are enough women starting from the top leadership to other decision-making levels. And there have been many women that have come into Sugar and had families, and they've gone on their maternity breaks and come back and rejoined the organization and have continued to succeed and to hold decision-making positions. There have been women who've come to our offsites with their little ones. We've had little ones at office, and I feel that just being able to see other women balance their work as well as their family, and being out there and showing how it can be done is massive inspiration for the large pool of young women that we continue to recruit into Sugar. And overall, even at from the perspective of the fact that in India we do need to have more women in workforce. 25% is not acceptable. As per McKinsey's report, we can add almost $700 billion to our GDP just by improving this participation of women in workforce by 10%. And I feel that for a country that aims to be a $5 trillion economy, this is a very important milestone to have, and for organizations as well, from the perspective of profitability and just better performance in the public markets. There has been correlation between having more women in workforce. So it's something, of course, that I feel very strongly about. I do have the vision that someday Sugar will employ more than 10,000 women. And I want us to be work for an organization which is considered one of the best place for young, talented and career-oriented women to work at. There is, of course, so that's the part about diversity that I wanted to share. Now, in terms of leadership, so for a startup, a small company that Sugar is that's growing very fast, my journey around figuring out leadership has it has evolved over the last few years. So when we were younger, like when the first, second, third, fourth employees were onboarded, it used to be these young hustlers without much experience coming in and being thrown into the deep end of the pool to figure out operations, logistics, sourcing, marketing, social media, content, and every single person who would come on board would be this multitasker who's able to handle multiple different projects and just very high will enterprising young individuals. And over the last 10 years of the organization's journey, we now of course have several people in the senior leadership who come in with a lot of experience and who've come in with from different multinational and large Indian conglomerates. So they come in with a certain expectation of what a workplace should look like. And so while the mix of the kind of people we have and even the kind of direct reports that directly report into me have been there, while that has significantly changed, the age group has of course also shifted to the higher side. I think the fundamentals around what makes great teams and how to make great teams work has really stayed the same for us. So firstly, for us, culture really matters in small organizations. Teams and people are the whole and soul of the organization, and which is why culture and ensuring that we only recruit those who fit in with the company's culture well is very important. So we have a philosophy of the culture being 4 H's, as we call them. That is humility, hustle, hunger, and humor. So we do feel that if somebody comes in who might be like the most superstar performer, but they don't have the humility to learn from others and value what their colleagues are bringing to the table, they'll not fit in the organization. If somebody comes in who takes themselves too seriously and doesn't have that sense of humor to really understand that, we're all working towards a cause which is larger than ourselves, and doesn't want to have the hunger or the desire to grow faster in an organization that's growing so fast and execution happens at the speed of light, those people generally don't fit. So the first and the most important lesson in leadership that I have had is that never ever compromise on culture, because you may get tempted to hire somebody who's very experienced and has like relevant work experience, but that later on comes back and bites you, because even one employee who doesn't fit in the culture well can create an environment of politics and a lot of negativity that a young company doesn't even have time and bandwidth for. Second is, I'm always trying to hire people better than me and hire people better than the current team that we have. There is this concept of that is made popular by Amazon, which I really love, which is the concept of bar raisers, always getting people on board who are raising the bar of the organization. And I feel that that's one of the things that's really helped us. I feel that as young inexperienced founders, and even with a lot of the people in our core team not being from the industry and being young and inexperienced, the most successful ones have been the ones who've been able to recruit people who are better than them, not be threatened by getting people on board who continue to teach them something. And as a leader, there will always be something that you can teach somebody who's better than you at a certain capability. But a lot of leaders I've seen try to get somebody who's worse than them on all counts, and I don't think that works. You have to continue to keep finding people who are better than you. Second is, once you get somebody, you have to trust them. You have to empower them with a lot of responsibility. And while the level of experience that people have come in at in the organization has changed a lot over the last few years, that's the one mantra that I haven't moved away from. I really, whenever somebody joins, I throw them in the deep end of the pool, trust them with a lot of responsibility, give them a lot of freedom, let them figure out decision making, let them fail, let them come back and tell me what they learned from their failure, but never try to work directly, at least with people who I need to micromanage, but create teams that have independent thinking and are empowered to make decisions and are empowered to run fast, because that's the only way an organization can really meet its potential and execute as fast as we want it to. And then, of course, when you empower teams and you give them a lot of responsibility, there are mistakes that are bound to happen, and I feel that we learn a lot from mistakes. But it's important for a leader or a manager to really give feedback quickly, and ensure that the feedback is communicated in a way that it's clear, precise, and it is directed towards helping the person who's getting the feedback grow, and not really coming from a place of releasing our anger on our reportees, but really helping them figure out how they can be better leaders, how they can be better managers, how they can be better performers. So feedback and communication of feedback is a very important leadership skill. And I feel that, as managers, if we want to become better leaders, we should have the ability to coach and ensure that there is something that our colleagues are able to learn from us. And then, of course, once you have the feedback in place and you have the responsibility in place, then it's also important to reward the best performers generously. So I feel that a lot of organizations reward a lot of people at the average level, but what happens in those cases is that the average and the below average people end up staying, but the best performers end up leaving. So it's important to reward the stars much better, and send a clear message of where your performance is, and not be tempted to rate everybody at the level of average and have like rewards and recognitions across the board being very uniform, because I feel that that doesn't create a culture of performance orientation and meritocracy. And lastly, I just want to say that as a founder who leads a large organization with more than 2,000 people, I think my main job is to constantly communicate the vision of the organization across the board, and that communication and inspiration. There is a famous saying that if you want to build a ship, don't really tell people exactly how that ship or the boat is to be built, but inspire people to yearn for the sea, inspire them to feel like they want to be on the sea, and that's how you will be able to create the boat faster. So I feel that my role primarily is to communicate, and that holds true for all leaders. I think communicating the vision often enough, and communicating what we are in this together for mobilizes teams and inspires them to perform at their highest level much better than any other style of leadership or management can. So that's a bit about my own journey in learning more about leadership and diversity, and would definitely, I'm available on Twitter and Instagram, and would love to hear your stories of how you've built in more inclusivity, diversity in your organizations, and how you're all becoming better leaders. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Great to see you all.